Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jack Callow with another episode of The Exchange. Today, we actually have a very special guest. For the first time ever on this show's history, we had someone reach out to us to be interviewed. And isn't that just fantastic? Now, if you could, can you please introduce yourself for the people?
Hi, so my name is Annie. I am the Chief of Staff and the Chief Medical Examiner of the San Andreas Medical Services.
And Annie, where have you been career-wise? Have you always been working with the hospital?
So I started in SAMS like a year ago. I originally started at Weasel, with Clayton. He helped me get a job. And then I started here as a nurse because I already had my degree, but I wanted to like feel the hospital out, see what the vibes were. And I really liked it, so I decided to transfer to residency. So I've been here for like just over a year now, and like slowly made my way up through the chain of command.
And how do you think you've transitioned from your previous role now to being chief of staff?
So I mean, the difficult thing is there's no like command book, like there's no like guidebook for like running a department of like 70 odd people, right? Like there's no like how do you train someone for that? Um, so I was already helping run residency along with Mal, who's one of our lovely medical directors. And that's mostly just like making sure training is going okay, checking in on people, making sure they're like happy that they're okay, that they don't need anything. Um, so now I guess my job is like doing that instead of just for residents, doing it for like the whole hospital. And then running the state morgue obviously is a lot of processing paperwork and releasing bodies for funerals and arranging with sticks and MCD and stuff like that. So it's like not been that big of a learning curve. It's just been like spreading what I was doing out more, if that makes sense.
It does, honestly. So, that being said, what's the day in the life of the chief of staff? Like, day by day, like, what do you do exactly, like, from start to finish, if you could?
Well, so I mean, I'm mainly a trauma surgeon, right? Like, I I know Cook said the same thing, but like I enjoy doing surgeries. I became a doctor to help people. Um, and whilst I can do good with helping train our residents and stuff like that, I can also do a lot of good saving people's lives. Um, I specialized in cardiothoracics at university, which is basically like the chest, neck, and like lungs and stuff like that. So I do a lot of scheduled surgeries for things like that. I do a lot of trauma stuff. So you know, it might be like clock on, do some surgeries, sort out some paperwork, potentially deal with like MCD and talk to them about like any morgue related stuff that's happening. You know, checking in on people. I mean, like I see like a lot of various stuff, but like it's very different over here in America because I trained in the UK, so it's very different because like you don't see gunshot wounds much in the UK. So like that was kind of a big learning curve, but it's mostly just yeah, being in the ER and being present and making sure that people know that I'm there if they need me, and like talking to other departments as well and making sure that like if something's going wrong, talking to them about it.
And now that you're chief of staff, is there anything in particular that you are looking forward to maybe changing as far as like day-to-day operations go, or any areas you want to improve on and stuff like that?
So I think like a lot of my focus is on like general cohesion and making sure everyone's okay. Cause like it's a very stressful field that we work in, right? Like people die in the hospital and that's never easy to accept. And so I want to make sure that all of our staff are okay. Cause I feel like sometimes I mean, like, I know I do it where I'll go into a surgery and I'll be focused on that surgery for an hour, 2 hours, and I won't be thinking, like, have I drunk water? You know? So yeah, just making sure everyone's okay, making sure people are where they want to be. So, like, helping people transfer from nursing to residency or vice versa, and being like, okay, well, you want to work in the lab or you want to work in the morgue. How can we get you there? Like, what do you need to get there? And I think also, like, opening up communications, which is why I reached out to you because I think government departments can fall into a trap where we only really say like speak in like press releases and interviews when something bad is happening. And I don't want to be that department. I want people to know that we're okay and like know what's going on and know what's happening and know that we care. Because I mean, we're a very, very public facing department, like on par with PD, if not more. Because I mean, like people from all across the state come and see us and we help them. And they should probably know a bit about us if they're trusting us with that.
It does bring up the next question. It's in regards to transparency. Like compared to other departments, other government branches and such, do you feel that you working here in the hospital or the hospital as a whole has a proper level of transparency with the people that you not only care for, but the people that care for you?
I feel like we try to. Obviously, there's some things that we can't say. I mean, like, so for example, I'm very limited because I run the morgue. You know, there's stuff that I can't release. So in cases of suspected homicide, I unfortunately can't tell family members information that I know because it could affect an ongoing investigation. But I think in terms of like, whenever I explain it, I'm like, this is not something that I want to be holding back from you, but I have to ensure that we can get justice, right? Like, it's not like I'm not telling you because I don't want to. It's I'm telling you because I am trying. I'm not telling you because I'm trying to help you. But I think also like, so I have 4 or 5 primary care patients, which is basically I know every single thing on their medical record. I know everything they've ever had wrong with them. I know any diseases, any current issues, every medication that they're on, stuff like that. Like these are people that I know really, really well. Um, and it's just communicating with people like that. It's like, okay, well, this is what's going wrong. This is what we're going to need to do to fix it. And like everyone that comes in the door, I think it's super important to be like, okay, this is where you're at. This is where I want to get you to be. And these are the steps that we're going to take to do that. And like, if you're waking up from surgery, explaining what you did, because that's a very vulnerable position to be in, like under anesthetic with someone that you don't know. Like, that's terrifying. I don't like being in hospital as a patient, and I work here. So I think it's making sure that you're communicating with people and telling them, like, what's happening, how you're doing. And I think at events like the blood drive, that really helps. Like the blood drive Seraphine organizers, those are really helpful because people can see us outside of like the ER. They'll see us as people because we're there with them, you know?
And I fully understand that. That being said, this is a bit of an off-topic question then.
Mm-hmm.
Working in the hospitals, especially in the capacity that most doctors and nurses do, that gets difficult.
Yeah.
Like not just physically tiresome, but I mean like mentally as well. Are there steps in place to make sure that like doctors, nurses, even any staff that you have gets proper treatment or at least like help as far as psychology goes?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm, for example, IC therapist, and that's something that we have access to. And I think we've created a really nice atmosphere in SAMS where if something is going wrong, I mean, like, I still call people for help. Like, the doctor who trained me in Los Santos, Adric Nelson, you know, if I'm having a bad day, I reach out to him and I phone him, and we'll just go like on a motorbike drive somewhere and just hang out. So I think the atmosphere that we've made here makes it super easy for people to talk to each other. I would hope so, at least. Just in terms of like knowing that you're working with people that you like and people that you get along with, and you know how to work as a team rather than just like it's me, it's Annie, I'm struggling. It's okay, it's me, it's Annie, but also I've got Justin, I've got Seraphine, I've got Buffy, I've got Helena, I've got Teddy. Like I've got the people around me in my work that I need.
Is this something you recommend to other departments like PD, marshals, SAPA? Do you recommend that they try to seek help when they need it instead of trying to like, bottle it up and just kind of keep trucking along?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I've seen a lot of growth in that sense. I think the police departments are starting to understand the help it can give their people. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's also just take time away from the job. Like all government workers, like there was a period of months where I just didn't really leave the hospital, and that's not healthy, right? Like I know I was doing good things and I know I was saving people's lives, but like that's not good for me. So it's, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your loved ones, and just like go and exist in the world outside of like the police department or the fire station or the hospital because that's really good for you.
On the topic of other departments, do you feel like the current relationship that you have, not just as chief of staff, but as a medical worker within the state, with the other branches of the government, do you feel like that relationship is like really open with one another? Or is it closed because it has to be at certain points? Do you have access to state representatives, governor, like, people you need to speak to change things if you need to?
Um, like me personally, like
Well,
I
you
just
and
asked
your
someone in a
department.
department.
Yeah, like you or the department, like in general, like do you guys have access to people that you need to have access to in order to make changes?
Yeah, so I mean, I get along well with like a good majority of the police department. So like Barry Hill, I talk to him almost every day. Stevens, I talk to him quite regularly. Julie Lee, I was texting her when I was moving stuff to a storage locker up north because I was like sending her pictures of it. So like I think it depends. Like if you make the effort to have those human connections with people, it can really help. So like I've never really had a problem. I mean, like, I'll talk to anyone, I don't care. But, like, I've never really had a problem communicating with other departments, being like, hey, this is what's going on. This is like, and it's normally protocol stuff, right? Like, hey, we're locking this door. Can you just make sure you're locking it when you run through? Stuff like that. Um, the only state rep I've ever spoken to is Bex Lawson about what SAMS might need. I mean, even the ones campaigning now, they haven't spoken to me. Neither of, I mean, I know Kavanaugh. I don't know the other governor candidate. I don't know who that is, but like, I think the emergency department seemed we're in a really good place communication wise right now. And I know Justin speaks a lot with like the legislature and stuff like that, but like, I don't really talk to the legislature. I'm good with the judiciary. Killian Clarkson's one of my like close friends. Um, so if I ever have any like legal questions, I just phone him and be like, Killian, what do I do? Um, yeah, overall, I think we're in a good place, but like more communication will never hurt. It's never a bad thing to talk to each other about stuff.
I am surprised that none of the governor candidates have come to speak to you because they've both spoken rather openly about the Medicare system in the state.
I know Cav from when he was the sheriff. Um, I'm not sure who the other candidate is. They haven't spoken to me. They might have spoken to Justin or Seraphine, but I haven't spoken to them. I don't even know who one of them is. So like, I don't know. I think it's with the legislature, it's making sure that you're reaching out outside of cabinet sessions, right? Making sure that you're talking to the government departments and saying like, hey, what do you need? Because like when Bex was it in office? Is that what they call it here?
Yes.
Yeah. So when Bex was in office, I got a phone call from Maxine who was like, hey, can you come talk to me and Bex and explain how SAMS works? Which, like, sure, that's a reasonable question because we're a kind of confusing department because we have, like, nursing, doctors, and psych, but then we also have, like, sub departments. And that was really nice because I was like, okay, yeah, I will, yeah. If that's what you need me to do to help us, then yeah, I'll come and do that. And that was very wholesome. Like, I was just kind of, like, rambling somewhere in City Hall whilst they were, like, sat on the floor surrounded by paper.
They were really active when it came to doing their job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just talk to us more. Like Sam's, we're not grumpy. We're happy to talk. We have a lot of opinions and we're happy to share them.
Actually, have any of the other state reps come to speak to you?
I haven't spoken to any of the state reps or the governor candidates.
What about
Again,
the previous state reps or the current ones?
no, the only one I've ever spoken to is Bex. I know Damien. We don't really talk about like Sam's stuff because he's just a friend.
Mm,
Again, they might talk to Justin and Seraphine, but they haven't spoken to me. But
okay. No, that's good to know though. Like you are chief of staff, so I thought at least one would try to like reach out to you. But if they're speaking to Seraphine or Justin, that's just as good, I assume.
yeah, I mean, I only put the press release out like a couple days ago, so like there is a good chance they just didn't know. But yeah, it's I have a lot of opinions.
No, opinions are good. Opinionated people often make for very intelligent remarks.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Now we're all a little opinionated. I mean, everyone knows what I put up every day. That doesn't apply to SAMS, by the way. That being said, this has actually been a wonderful interview. Are there any closing remarks that you have before I ask the final question?
Um, I just want to thank everyone for being patient with us and trusting us because it's a really hard place to be put in when you're in hospital, right? Like hospitals are not fun. They are not fun places to be inherently because you're only there when you're in pain. So I just want to like thank everyone that's been nice to me throughout this journey in SAMS and thanking everyone in SAMS for being there and making me want to come to work every day.
That that's actually really sweet. So the final question, and it's always like I always like leaving this one for last.
Mhm.
Now that you've gone through one of these interviews and you've been in the hot seat, is there anyone you want to specifically shout out, give your thanks to, or that you would even call up to do a similar type of interview?
Okay, I'm gonna do all three. Um, Shout out is gonna be to my mum, Buffy. I love you. You're great. Thank you for taking me in and giving me a place and making me feel comfortable. Someone I want to give thanks to. I feel like equal parts Justin and Seraphine for trusting me because it's not easy to trust people with something that we love so much. You know, like we have conversations. I'm like, I love Sam's, and I worry about it, and you know, I wake up at 3 in the morning like, oh my god, I need to do something. So thank you guys, and thank you for being good friends, better than I ever thought you'd be. Because Justin used to scare me. I love you, but you were terrifying. Um, and someone to do the same interview. I want to say Barry. I want to say Barry Hill. I feel
Barry
like
Hill.
I, I have like I don't know. I love Barry. I never want him to know that, and like so if he listens to this, that's rough. But like I feel like Barry has a lot of good opinions, but like it's overshadowed by like it's Barry Hill, you know?
Barry Hill's always been a good man to me. He's never been cross with me or any other such. You know, he's a good man.
Yeah, like I feel like I can never tell him that though. But like, yeah, Barry, I'd love you to do one of these interviews if you listen to this. That would be great.
Honestly, I feel you should tell him that. Like, you should genuinely tell him that you think he's a good person. That goes a long way to making someone stay even a year.
Well, yeah, but like that's not how me and Barry work.
Understandable.
Like I think he knows that I'm fond of him, but like I can't say it, you know?
No, that's completely understandable. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on this very special interview. One that, again, I was not expecting, but one that I'm very grateful to have had. So from me to you, from you to me, have a good night.